Hello everyone, thanks for joining us tonight with Denham's Facebook Live, and thanks very much for last week's feedback. We had a lot of good feedback from last week on that topic as well. So tonight's topic we've got for you is choosing an appropriate agent, or the best agent for you to get the best results as a potential client or as a client looking to sell your property. So we've put together a few questions to really just unearth and get rid of that first or second layer that you might have to deal with an agent, and try and get to the bottom of how you may best select the best agent. Now Hayden, firstly, aren't all agents the same?
Yeah, so very good question. Yeah, look, it's something that I guess can be the perception for a lot of people, and sometimes rightly so. A lot of us walk the same, talk the same, look the same.
That's true. That is true.
It can be perceived that a lot of the time that aren't all agents the same. There's, unfortunately they're not. There's some vast differences in terms of what that agent can actually offer the client, and how that's going to actually impact their end result in terms of, well, financially. Service level, but also financially is the biggest thing that it could potentially impact.
So, on that subject, can you go a bit further and explain what some of those differences actually are?
Yep.
What are the differences?
Yep, so I guess, to bring it down, if I was looking for an agent myself, I would look at a few fundamental things, or what I would consider some fundamental things. I'd look at, what their track record is for the last, let's say, 12 months, how much experience they've got in the industry. So whether they've just, been, reborn into the industry 6 months ago, or
relevant experience, you suggest?
Yeah, relevant experience. So, I'd definitely be looking at, one would be their track record, just to see what they've been up to the last 12 months, how many clients they've had, what sale prices they've been achieving, and then delve into their experience level, how long they've been in the industry, how active they've been over those years, and then probably further on that would be I would be keen to check out whether they are an REIQ member.
Okay, for a particular reason?
Yeah, probably two main ones. So the first one would be that it would ensure that they're doing continuing professional development. And the second one would be that although they'd be doing that continuing professional development, they'd also be adhering to the standards of business practice that the REIQ set out. Okay,
so is that not the case though? Is that not a minimum standard for all agents? Is that
No. A lot of people in the industry would love it, including ourselves, if that was the case. But unfortunately, you can basically step into the classroom once, get your ticket, your certificate, and walk out, and never have to actually go into to any extra training or any updates.
Okay, so the Real Estate Institute of Queensland is the one that, as a member, enforces that on you, so to speak, so that you've got that minimum standard, and you've got, with legislation and what have you, I suppose. So.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, obviously things change all the time. How things were when you started, for example, all those 32 years ago.
A lot simpler.
Probably a lot different to how it is now.
True.
So if you hadn't done any CPD, I think you'd be in a bit of trouble.
It's changed a bit since the Auctioneers and Agents Act, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so we've ticked those few boxes as a potential agent. We're going through our checklist, I suppose, as you like, to see who we're going to drill down on and ultimately pick. Would you also then go, as another check, I suppose, go onto Google and social media and start looking at some of those aspects of that individual that you're thinking about selecting?
Yeah. So you'd probably, in reality, you'd probably have one or two or potentially three, options that you think, oh, look, these folks are, potentially an option, potentially something I'd like to chat about or chat with. And what I would suggest is Googling them, as you suggest, seeing any form of testimonials or online reviews. It's the beauty of the internet. Nowadays you can basically do an online interview before you actually sit down or have that agent in your lounge room.
So online, any particular site you might look at, or to get reviews. Obviously, with me looking at a review I've written about myself. So, are there any?
I'm sure it'd be a good one.
It'd be a good one. I'd make sure of it. You can be guaranteed of that.
Yeah.
But independent bodies or independent sites I should be looking at.
Yep. Probably the big one would be Rate My Agent.
Right.
So that's completely independently owned. There's not, no one agency, no one brand that actually owns that, owns the right to that website. So it is, simply clients that have had experiences with these agents jumping on board. Right. There's also a statistics tab within that site as well, which will show you exactly clear cut how many online advertisements that particular agent has in terms of current listings, and it also will give you their sales for the year in terms of number and in terms of the value associated with those sales as well.
So you're suggesting to drill down that bit further and see what listings they've actively had over the 12 months. And obviously, I suppose volume isn't everything, but I suppose the better practice you are, the more sales you create and the better outcomes you get for your client. That's got to be a good thing. So I suppose if I've sold 6 properties in the last 6 or 8 months and you've sold 26, obviously there's a lot of experience, a lot of circumstances and negotiation that's coming out of your set of experiences compared to mine potentially.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's some things that perhaps you would have missed in only dealing with a small amount of properties, depending on the market, of course.
Of course, it's not all volume, is it? But I suppose the extra volume does lend itself to having different experiences and becoming more experienced. And generally speaking, the more you practice anything, the better you get at it.
That's right. The more negotiation, the more building and pests you've gone through, the more houses you've seen, for instance, you're going to be in a better position to provide greater value to your clients.
Right, that makes sense. So further to that, I mean, we're getting in deeper and deeper and we're making some really good checks on this particular individual we're looking at. Would you not then, if you're breaking it down between a couple of agents, would you not then just, out of those 2 or 3 agents, go, well, let's go this one, this is the one with the lowest commission, the cheapest. Would you not just take that one?
Well, I wouldn't.
Is there a reason for that?
There is, there's a number of reasons.
You're being tight.
Can be. There's a number of reasons. The reasons that I would have for not going down that road is that agent or agency, whatever they may be, is going to have to take some shortcuts. They're going to have some cutbacks, whether that be with their team members, employing less experienced staff, or resources. That could be the case as well. So there's going to be some cutbacks somewhere along the line to make that business model profitable.
So I suppose that could be training, opening hours, availability, all those sort of things, I suppose, isn't it? So I suppose if they're not available to do things and get out there on a Sunday, for example, and show a buyer through or respond, that's going to be potentially an inferior outcome for the seller, isn't it?
Well, that's right, and I think they're likely to have an inferior skill set and not be in a position to negotiate that client the best price. And I think if they're not able to negotiate a fair fee with the client, how can anyone expect them to negotiate with that client's greatest asset?
Yeah, true. That's a good point, isn't it, too? So I suppose you generally get what you pay for, don't you? That's what happens in life, isn't it? More often than not.
Well, that's the thing, and at the end of the day, if they're worth more, they'd be negotiating a higher fee. They'd be getting paid more. So
that makes sense.
That sums it up.
So to further test the agent out, or I'm getting it right down to a fine-tuned list now. I've got it down to 2 agents, for example. So what's another way I could then start to really, I've assessed them online and I've done these passive checks, if you like, on the agent, but what's a way then of really drilling down that next step to really assess them personally? How can I do that?
Okay, I would attend their open homes, go through as a potential buyer before you've even made contact. See what their dialogue is like with the other potential buyers that are there and yourself. See how they're treating you, because the chances are, if they're treating you really well or they're maybe not treating you so well, that's the reception that potentially the buyers are going to get when they're selling your property.
So test out their knowledge base as well? Would you start asking some questions about the property, house or unit, or body court fees if it's a unit, or what you can do with the land if it's a house and land, or development, how high I can go if I want to raise the house and those sort of things?
Yeah,
is it a flood zone? All those sort of things.
All those key questions, they should have it all mapped out. For instance, when we get a property that has some sort of development potential, we get a town planning report. So they should have, maybe not to that extent, but they should have at least some base knowledge of what the potential of the site is, or even, not necessarily development sites, but even with residential, some sort of base knowledge surrounding the home, the history of the home, all those sorts of things, to provide some value there. So that would be a big one for me, is going through the open homes. I'd also be asking them, whether it be on the phone or in front of them at the open home, is what's the seller's bottom line? Because if they're prepared to give you that, they're probably an agent you can just cross off your list straight away.
Yeah, well, that might short circuit mine, I suppose. I suppose if you've got an agent that, you say, what do they take? And the agent actually gives you that figure, probably a worry if you're paying that agent and you're looking to get the highest price as the seller, I suppose. You probably don't want the bottom line leaked out there, do you? You don't really want...
Why? I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. So, good question. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one to ask, isn't it? I
Yep.
definitely have that on my list of questions. And that's a great idea, I think, going along with the opens, testing them out, and then probably seeing, I suppose, how they follow you up then, isn't it, too? It's a case of they take your details, they follow you up, and do they, go that next step and be bothered chasing you up on the Monday or the Sunday to see if you have any further interest in have any questions.
Feedback to the vendor, because as we know, that's critical as well, knowing what the buyers with the cash are walking through the home and thinking. So I'd definitely be doing that. I'd probably be sending inquiries as well to see what the response rate is on the inquiries. As you briefly mentioned before as well, seeing if they're prepared to show me through on a Sunday. I might, we work 6 days a week, sometimes 7. We might have a window of opportunity to see a property on a Sunday, and this could be anyone, any potential buyer. And if they're not prepared to, I know tenanted properties are different, but if they're not prepared to, to come to the party there, then you could be missing some opportunities or some momentum within the campaign as well.
Yeah, so you're suggesting if they won't come out on a Sunday or they won't go at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night and show you the property,
Yeah.
you could be missing out on the buyer, I suppose. Could be potentially the one that's...
You never know.
Well, it could be
You
the
never
buyer,
know.
I suppose, couldn't it? So
Yeah.
the one that's going to pay you the best price with the best terms. And
Could be that emotional buyer. Could be the thing.
Could
So
be the one you want.
And it's worth finding out.
You
Anyway.
probably don't want to. Yeah, you probably don't want to miss them regardless, do you?
No,
So
that's right.
I suppose as an overall summary, that you've given us all that, which is great information, and you've passed on your thoughts and on drilling down that bit further with an agent. I suppose you're suggesting experience and a strong record of sales are critical.
Yep.
Member of the REIQ, your Real Estate Institute of Queensland, another critical one to tick off.
Yep.
And then more than anything else, or not necessarily more, I suppose, but critically, an agent that I suppose you've got to like them, haven't you? You've got to like them and trust them, haven't you?
Yeah.
Apart from all that criteria, which is great what you've given us,
Yep.
I suppose you've got to like the person that you're picking, because they're going to be in your home and they're going to be...
They're essentially part of the family for, whether you like it or not. They're pretty much part of the family for 4 to 8 to sometimes, longer than that, weeks. They're going to be in your lounge room a couple of times a week, showing buyers through, communicating with you, having meetings, having strategy meetings.
Not much good if you don't like them, is it?
Well, if you don't like them, I mean, they're going to be, they're going to be in your house a lot. So,
yeah, that's right.
So you've got to like them and trust them. I think that's like you say, not to, completely throw away what we said there before, but it is a key point, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that has helped and given you some tips to drill down. I'm surprised Hayden didn't actually say that the best agent would be tall, blonde, blue-eyed, and wear blue suits. I thought he would have come up with that, but he's been independent there, which is hopefully very helpful.
It would have been a short answer, wouldn't it? Just call me at the start and we'll cover the rest. So.
That's right. Well, you could do worse. Look, thanks for joining us this evening, and we've enjoyed your company, and we look forward to seeing you next week. All the best.
Thank you.